私の名前は小林みどりです。日本の国名古屋で1949年に生まれました。日本ではこういうお人形とお友達でとっても楽しいティーパーティーやるんですよ。男の子も選んでみんなで楽しくティーパーティー。でも一つ不公平なのは、男の子はホリデーなのに女の子の日はホリデーでない。ちょっとこれ不公平ですよね。Do you know why I got upset and threw those dolls? In Japan, Girls' Day, March 3rd, is just a Girls' Day. But Boys' Day, which is May 5th, is Boys' Day and holiday. And boys used to say, hey, hey, boys are better than girls. And we used to get so mad. It's not fair, it's not fair. So that's why I threw those dolls and said, that's not fair. So in Japan now, it's called Children's Day, boys and girls. And it's a holiday.
As my good friend the chef says, get comfortable with your kumquat and let us begin. I want to talk about transformational moments in my life. The first being a Sunday night, February 9th, 1964, when, right here, the Beatles, she loves you, yeah, 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 ooh. The Beatles appeared on Ed Sullivan, and for me and many others, a switch was turned on. And we knew why we were alive, why we were here. And everything was okay, and we started to move forward. And then we started to grow our hair. I was in choir, and when we were on stage, before they opened the curtain, I used to comb my hair down. Then they would open the curtain, and the choir master would throw me off the stage. And then we moved forward to my graduation, June 1966, into the fall, when I was supposed to be boarding a plane to go to Northwestern, and I said to myself, I don't want to go. Please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go. So I stayed in Philly, and I got a job at Gimbel's department store at the King of Prussia Mall, before they had the roof on, working in the mod shop, which was selling the British clothing, the Carnaby clothing. After a few months there, I got hired at the Lion's Den in downtown Center City, Philadelphia, by Rittenhouse Square, a complete store of it, down from where they used to film the Mike Douglas show. And that was the mod clothing. And as Ringo said, are you a mod or rocker? And he said, no, I'm a mocker. And from there, we fast forward to my moments at Woodstock, when 500,000 people connected in a way, a deeper way. When you went to sleep listening to The Who and woke up to Jimi Hendrix playing the Star-Spangled Banner, and you had an experience beyond drugs. After that, I quit doing psychedelics and cigarettes. And a tip, if you want to quit cigarettes, smoke a joint instead of a cigarette, and you'll be very happily cured. And from there, we fast forward to when I worked for Commodore and the transformational Amiga computer, the greatest computer never told. True multitasking, a true video output that transformed an industry where it cost $250,000 to do video production to 1/10 or less the cost, or a person like me could make tapes in my basement. And I made a series of training tapes.
My name is Chuck Petropoulos, and I'll be your host.
And what it also proved is what the Moody Blues say. Reality You decide which is real and which is an illusion.
Hello, my name is Lois Phillips, and I was born August 2nd, 1938 in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. When I was 2 years old, you could tell that my hair was changing. It wasn't curly, but more like wool, a little bit harder to comb. The baby next to me was my brother George. He didn't have to worry about his hair. We moved after about 10 years in Texarkana to Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock was the capital of the state of Arkansas, and it was a large city. I had lots of friends there, and I was elected student body president at the high school. I knew most of the boys and girls who were involved in what we describe as the Little Rock situation. They were not classmates, but they were schoolmates. I was 2 years older than most of those young people who prepared to integrate the school in Little Rock, Arkansas. When I look back on it, I wouldn't have been involved, actually. I think all young people, black young people who had to watch our friends integrate in the schools really suffered because they had to watch their friends get spit at or threatened. It was a difficult time in preparation. My parents decided it was time to leave Arkansas. My hair was being straightened, and I always was careful to have it looking good, and Mother was concerned about it too. My hair was professionally straightened, and it was very important that it looked good. And I worked very hard on that. Well, it means that I didn't use, but the beauticians used hot combs. They were very hot, and they would straighten my hair very carefully. Sometimes that comb slipped, and it would burn my scalp a little bit. I had a sore scalp anyway, so if they combed my hair, it would hurt. It'd have to be combed through the wool, so to speak, and it would hurt. But once it was done, it looked pretty good. It lasted for about 3 weeks or a month. Some girls like to have their hair done every other week. Oh, I couldn't stand it. Once a month was enough for me. We moved to Los Angeles, California in 1955. My hair continued to be a problem. For me, I had to make sure that I got to the beautician on time and spent a lot of time getting my hair straightened. Again, once a month, maybe even sooner than that if I needed to. But once a month. And my scalp continued to be sore. I hated it, but I felt it was necessary to do that, to continue to do that. I worked for 28 years as a librarian, and maybe 10 years before that, I stopped having my hair straightened. Wow, what an experience. I loved it. But it was important for me to keep my hair trimmed then. But that was a lot easier to do. During this period of having my hair, not having my hair straightened, I got married. So my husband and I had sort of matching naturals. It was very nice. However, our marriage didn't last very long. But what I learned to love was not having to worry about my hair anymore. I liked it natural and not having it straightened and prettied up. For the rest of my life, I have never had my hair straightened. After my marriage failed, I continued to wear my hair natural, but I also noticed that I was beginning to lose my hair. I worried about that a little bit, but that's all right. I decided not to worry about it anymore. I just said, why worry about it?
Hello, my name is Tony Harmon. I'm a senior. Earlier in that year, it was like February, January, it's in Bellevue, Washington. I was a letter carrier. I was still on probation, so I didn't have a route. And I had to come in on weekends to deliver special deliveries. So it was a cold February morning, and I go in there, and they assign me a car and give me the letters. And so I go out to check out the car, and it's freezing out there. So I don't want to sit out there and freeze while I'm warming the car up, because if you turn the engine over and push on the gas, it dies as soon as you leave. So you have to put the foot on, keep your foot on the gas. So I noticed that this one particular van that I was in had like a metal gas pedal, and had a hole at the top of it. So I have my government issued pen, which has a little notch at the top. Doesn't push, just a pin that's already open, always on. Has a little notch at the top and a pin at the bottom. And I ballpoint pen, and I crammed the ballpoint port into the hole, and I jammed the nubby part into the floorboard, and it held. And so there I've got this car idling really fast, but now I know I can go back in and get a cup of coffee and warm up before I leave on my route. So as I'm getting out of the truck, I accidentally bumped the lever, the shifting lever, boom. And then all of a sudden it's going forward, boom, and it's pushing right against the van in front of it. And the van in front of it's in park, and it's going clunk, 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 and it's moving this van right towards the gas pump. And I'm going, holy mac, this is going to smash into the gas pump. I got to get out of here. So I reached around and grabbed the lever, put it in park, jumped out, and started chasing after that van, see if I could get the door open and stop it before I hit the pump. And as I'm going along, I can't get the door open, and it's slowing down, click, click, and I hear this crash, and that's the van that I had just put, not in park, but in reverse, full blast, tears off at an angle, and it hits this sedan, the Studebaker sedan on the side door, and it's grinding off the chrome and the door handle. It's just going full blast towards the dock. So I stop on the one I'm at, and I run after the other van in reverse, headed to the dock at full blast, and then the pin fell out, and it was silence. And the only thing you hear was beep, beep, beep of the car, the van in reverse. And it was just kind of dead silence. And it was over. I mean, it was like, holy moly, what just happened? So I went in and reported it to my supervisor. Ta-da!
Hi. You know what I think? I wore it, and I'm going to take it off. So, now this is me, and I'm going to tell you a little story about when in 1946, my parents bought a house in West LA, And it was in a little neighborhood that was just delightful. And all the women got along and all the guys got along, and they did poker on Saturday nights and canasta. All the girls did canasta on Mondays. And my dad worked on Hollywood Boulevard. And the exciting thing about my dad working on Hollywood Boulevard is a bunch of us girls, when we were in junior high and high school, we could go up there on a Friday night on the bus, and my dad would bring us all home. It was lovely. And we were proud of him because he was in the Businessmen's Association that put the stars on the walkway. And he was so proud of that. And I was so proud of that. And my mom was so proud of that. My brother was so proud of that. We were all so proud of that. And now they're there, and they're there forever, aren't they? So, also, my dad was a suit salesman. He worked at Bond Clothing, and they sold, the famous thing that they did was one suit with 2 pair of pants. And that was great. And he liked to take a suit of clothes off the rack, put it on a person, and then tailor it for them, so that they pretty much had tailor-made clothes, you know. And he did some famous people, and one of his favorite famous people was Spike Jones. He didn't make his costumes for the shows, but he made his real suits that he wore. And he would always give my mom and dad tickets to a show. And my mom absolutely loved Spike Jones and his shows. So when they came home, my mom would set up bells and whistles and all kinds of stuff in the kitchen, you know, and she'd call Chloe when she wanted us to come and help her. So here we are in this cute little house in West LA, about 4 blocks from Venice Beach. We could take the little red car down to the beach, all my friends and I, and our beach towels, and jumped on the on the train trolley. And it was exciting life. We had a really nice lifestyle. Everything just went really well, and I was going to graduate in 1960, and the freeway bought our house. Isn't that sad? The freeway bought our house. So I think that my house my bathroom is the Robertson off-ramp on the Golden Gate Freeway. And when they were first building it, there were these, it would just go so far, and then they put barriers up. But we would get in our cars and we'd go around the barriers at night, late at night, and zoom as fast as we could down the freeway before it ended. And years later, I was talking to my uncle, and he said, you know what we used to do? We used to get in our cars and go on that freeway, and we would have got caught if they saw us. I did not believe it. I couldn't believe that my dad and my uncle were doing the same thing we were doing. So after they sold the house, it was kind of like, well, I'm on the road again, you know, and it's been like that ever since. So, la-di-da.